school that she just got transferred from.
Whoa, time out. She was on the roof?
Absolutely.
How did she get up to the roof?
That's what I want to know.
How did she get up to the roof? And she's in what grade again? She's in what grade again?
She's in the 8th grade now. This happened in the 6th grade.
Wait, time out.
Times 30. What's 7 times 3? 21?
What? You say your daughter has had over Wait a minute. Are you saying your daughter has had over 20 days of suspension?
She has been out of school more than she has been in school, sir. She got to transfer from.
And you would say at least how many days? At least
20.
Then they broke the law, sister. A special ed child cannot be suspended more than 10. 10 total. Brothers and sisters, I hope I'm helping y'all. I'm a little frustrated y'all still making these mistakes. Sister Frenita, how's Syracuse, New York treating you, Queen?
It's treating me well. How are you?
I'm all right. I heard y'all got a new black Syracuse Orangeman basketball coach because Jimmy Boeheim retired, so y'all got a black man in there now. But that's besides the point.
I didn't just hear that.
Okay, so have you been to Harriet Tubman Gravesite yet?
I have not. No, sir.
You better go to Harriet Tubman Gravesite. I'm jealous of Syracuse for one reason. I'm not jealous because y'all live up in the cold mountains. Y'all can keep that part. But I'm jealous of Syracuse because y'all only 1 hour away from Harriet Tubman's gravesite. Y'all only 1 hour away from Harriet Tubman gravesite. So you got to make sure you get the Harriet Tubman gravesite, good sister.
I definitely do.
She's in Auburn. Just Google Harriet Tubman House, Auburn, New York. You got to check it out. But go right ahead with your question, beautiful.
Thank you so much. Okay, so my question this morning, I have a similar situation. I have a 13-year-old daughter who has an IEP. She's had for about 6 years now. They're trying to give her this behavior, her evaluated for a behavior.
Back up for a minute. She's 13. She has an IEP, correct?
Yes. Correct.
What grade is she in right now?
She's in the 8th grade.
So that means she got the IEP in the 3rd grade.
Correct.
Too young for my taste, but what was the disability determination in the 3rd grade?
Mild intellectual disability.
They gave your daughter an intellectual disability in the 3rd grade.
Yes, sir.
And you didn't call Dr. Umar for 5 years. Why?
Did not get just now, honestly, just now found you already 5 months ago.
Okay.
Just now found you.
Okay. Did you hear my conversation with the previous parent?
Yes, I have.
So you need to email me. Do you have my email address? I need to see your daughter's eval. Okay. I do not charge consultation for intellectual disability. I need to see that. My next question, do you really believe your daughter is intellectually disabled?
I don't believe she's intellectually disabled, no.
Okay, so you're probably going to have to request.
I don't know what it is. I just don't know what it is.
Okay. What are your concerns as a mother when you look at her? What can she do that other 13-year-olds can do?
Her reading, I sit down with her. We have these reading. I read with her every night. Her reading gets very. She's not on her reading level.
How much practice is she getting at home? How much practice are we making her read?
I do an hour a day. When I get off work, I do an hour a day.
Okay, because they're not going to get better at reading if they don't practice. Only about 15% to 20% of children will learn how to read easily on the first try. Most children got to practice at it. It don't mean they disabled. It just means they need to put forth more effort. You see, I also think you should get your daughter a tutor. I think you should find one of those retired teachers at one of those black churches in Syracuse, New York, and see if one of those retired teachers will work with your daughter, or one of those college students. Get you one. In fact, call Syracuse University. Call their education department. Call their education department and say, I'm wondering if you have any students in your education department who would be willing to tutor my daughter, and I'm willing to pay them. I don't have a lot of money, but I'm willing to pay them $20 a session. I'm willing to bet you could probably take her to Syracuse and get some free tutoring. I'm willing to bet.
Okay.
She needs more rigor because Syracuse schools are not the best schools for our children.
Not at all.
Exactly. So a lot of this might have been poor instruction plus poor practice will equal poor outcomes. Poor instruction from the teacher, poor practice at home is going to equal poor outcomes. We shouldn't have got it tested in the 3rd grade. That was too early, but that's water under the bridge. I think she needs tutoring. But you were about to say that they want you to do what now? What are they trying now?
They're trying to give her, I believe it's called a behavior intervention plan. There's some type of testing they can give her that she could be follow her, like her IEP.
Okay, let me ask you this. The behavioral intervention plan is not a test. It is a process that we go through to create a behavior intervention plan, but it can't happen until we've done a functional behavioral assessment. So if you're taking notes, I want you to write down FBA. Make sure you write down FBA, functional behavioral assessment, FBA, functional behavioral assessment. And this is what you want to say to them. How can you do a behavior intervention plan if you haven't even conducted a functional behavioral assessment? Do you feel me?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Now, if they're asking for this functional behavioral assessment and behavior intervention plan, that means your daughter must be having behavior problems in school.
Absolutely.
What is she doing in school?
She just got out of, they just transferred her from one school. She was in kindergarten. She leaves class. She leaves the school. They allowed her to, she was actually on the roof of the school that she just got transferred from.
Whoa, time out. She was on the roof?
Absolutely.
How did she get up to the roof?
That's what I like to know.
How did she get up to the roof? And she's in what grade again? She's in the 8th
grade now. This happened in the 6th grade.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Does your daughter have a one-to-one aide?
She doesn't have a one-to-one aide, but she does have one for a couple of classes. But she doesn't have one that follows her every class.
So if she has the one-to-one aide, how did she get on the roof?
I guess it's as good as mine.
Okay, when she ended up on the roof, was that during a class in which she was assigned to the one-to-one aide?
You know, I didn't ask that.
You need to know that. You need to know that, because if it was, then they need a new one-to-one aide. And if it wasn't, she needs a one-to-one aide all day. You need to call an IEP meeting. We're going to wait till I look at your eval because you might need an independent educational evaluation. But you want your daughter to have a one-to-one aide all day. You're going to tell them that needs to be a related service on the IEP or you're not signing it.
Okay.
And then you want to ask them you want to tell them what training will this one-to-one aide have. You don't just want them grabbing somebody off the street. It needs to be somebody who's been trained.
Yes, sir.
Your daughter should have a one-to-one aide all day listed on an IEP as a related service. And there's something else. How many days this current school year, when did y'all start? August or September?
We started in September.
Okay, from September to now, how many days of suspension has your daughter received?
Days? She's had 7 suspensions.
How many total days?
So each suspension was between 3 to 5 days. So we'll give it 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, about 20 days.
Wait, time out.
Times 3. What's 7 times 3? 21?
What? You say your daughter has had over Wait a minute. Are you saying your daughter has had over 20 days of suspension?
She has been out of school more than she has been in school, sir. She got to transfer from.
And you would say at least how many days? At least.
At least 20.
Then they broke the law, sister. A special ed child cannot be suspended more than 10. 10 total.
They never let her come back until after she had her, what is that meeting that you have to have when you have an IEP? Manifestation meeting. They will never let her come back. So sometime the manifestation meeting, after her 3-day suspension would be up, her manifestation meeting would be the 5 days. So she would have an extra 2 days because the meeting hadn't happened yet.
Okay.
So she'd be suspended 3, but technically out 5.
Listen. After the 10th day of suspension, they cannot suspend her anymore unless the IEP team meets and conducts the manifestation, and the manifestation must answer 2 questions affirmatively. Number 1, was the behavior related to the disability? If your daughter has been classified as intellectually disabled, Of course, the behavior is related to the disability. She should not have been suspended any more than 10, and they should have revised the IEP and provided your daughter with the one-to-one aid and other supports that she needed. That's number one. Number two, the second question, was the IEP implemented? Was it appropriate, and was it being implemented as designed? It clearly wasn't appropriate. So based on the questions, the two questions of the manifestation determination, they should have not been able to move your daughter at all. I think you have a big lawsuit on your hands. I think you have first of all, I don't think she's intellectually disabled. That's number one. Number two, she's been suspended more than 10 days. Number three, your daughter has been denied FAPE. I want you to write down the letters FAPE. FAPE. It stands for free and appropriate public education. Please write that down because you're going to put this in your letter to the principal. FAPE, free and appropriate public education. There's definitely a war against our kids, and I thought I was helping. I don't even know if I'm helping no more, y'all. I don't.
Yes, sir. You absolutely are. And I just want to thank you for all that you do. Like I said, I wish I would have found you sooner, but now that I found you, I'm not letting go. I appreciate everything you do for us and our community, 110%, sir.
Okay, so you're going to email me the eval, and you're going to draft a letter where you're talking about your daughter being suspended more than 10 days, unjustifiably, where you're talking about the IEP being inappropriate, and where you're talking about your daughter's need for one-to-one aid. And let me ask you this, Queen, last point that's going to be in your letter. Remember, first point, I don't think she's intellectually disabled, and you're probably going to request the independent educational eval. Second point, she needs a one-to-one aid, don't have it. Third point, y'all suspended her more than 10 days, illegal, without your permission, and in a manifestation being answered yes, and I don't see how it could. And then the fourth point, are you telling me that this is the first time that they're trying to conduct a functional behavioral assessment and a positive behavior plan? Is this the first time?
Yes, sir.
So you're telling me all these years, your daughter never had a functional behavioral assessment or positive behavior plan?
No, sir.
Lord have mercy. I need you to understand this, Queen. There's no way that manifestation could have carried. There's no way that manifestation determination could have carried when your daughter never had a behavior plan. The law says every disabled child with behavior problems must have a functional behavioral assessment and positive behavior plan. Without that, the IEP is not appropriate. You have 4 major violations on your daughter. 4 major violations on your daughter. Number 1, she's probably not intellectually disabled. Number 2, she never had a behavior plan. Number 3, she never had a one-to-one aid. Number 4, they suspended her for more than 10 days without a behavior plan, a FBA, a one-to-one aid. How could they do that? So they've totally violated your daughter's FAPE, free and appropriate public education.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Thank you for that.
You got everything you need?
Yes, sir. I do.
You got my number. You got my email. Send me that eval. Send me the draft of your letter. And once you email it, text me so I know to reach out to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Nope. Thank you, babe. Brothers and sisters, am I being effective? I mean, I've only been teaching this for over 20 years. Why are we still making these mistakes? I've been on my ministry for 20 years. Why are we still making these mistakes? I've been on my ministry for 20 years. I'm not blaming that mom. She just found out about me. But I've been teaching for 20 years. I'm all over YouTube. I'm all over the country. I'm the biggest name in Black consciousness, one of the biggest names in Black education. Why are we still making these mistakes? I've written 2 books that teaches you how to win. Why are we still making these mistakes? I don't understand it. Can somebody tell me why we still making these mistakes?
Dr.
Umar Johnson, can I ask you a question? Can I ask Dr. Johnson? Can I ask you? Can we kind of go back and forth? Because I think a lot of times when we talk over each other, then nobody hears either one of our points. And I know you may be used to over talking women or others.
I don't overtalk.
Okay. Well, let's agree to disagree.
I felt that I had to.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I understand that, people are not used to having a woman controlling the mic and such, but I will give you your respect if you give.
All the time.
Okay.
No problem with women.